All right, in this session, we're going to talk about elegant persuasion and influence frameworks. Now, what I love about what we're about to go over is this applies whether you're trying to sell anything to anybody, anywhere, and whether you're going to apply it to one-on-one selling, which is common, but also my favorite, which is one-to-many selling, and whether you're doing it in a form of video, live webinar, like a challenge model, workshop model, or really powerful in person on stage, because all of our brains work the same way in the sense that we always go in the flow with elegance, but we always fight being pushed or sold into something. People love buying, but they don't like getting pushed. And when we go through this, one of the things that are just really important to understand is that there's only so many objections that your best buyers are going to have. They don't change much. They just look a little different, but they're going to fall in a lot of the same categories. And so the reason why I'm bringing up the objections first is that all the frameworks will work off what are their current belief systems, what are their current objections to where we're leading them to support them, to give them the best outcome and result. And as you can see, they're going to come down to simple things. Money's the most obvious in most cases, but time is a huge one. Belief. Now, belief is multifaceted in the sense that belief in themselves on the ability that it's going to work for me. Will this work for me? Will I be able to get that result? So that's an inadequacy thing. That's also overcoming past failure thing. I tried this before and it didn't work, okay? But it's also belief in you as the person that has a solution to a problem. Is this the right person? Is this the right time? How do I know they're the right person? I've tried other people. So there's a lot of different belief frameworks that we have to overcome. And so that's great. So ability in self. So that's a little bit of, I already covered that. Trust with you, that's another belief thing. FUD, one of my mentors, Travis Sago, talks about FUD as being their fears, their uncertainties, and their doubts. Are we overcoming their fears, uncertainty, and doubts, okay? And then confusion and overwhelm. This is an objection that is really usually caused by the communicator. That's you. And usually that's a form of teaching too much, over-educating, giving way too long of a to-do list. That would not necessarily be true if I'm giving them a done-for-you service or I'm doing it for them. But in the form of, I work a lot with experts on stage, and when I look at their PowerPoints, they are inundating the audience with a task list that makes it impossible for their brain to have the capacity to look into the future and make a buying decision, okay? And what's so amazing that is gonna be a big focus of this session is that your first sale is not a sale towards getting them to do all these things. The first sale is getting them to have a transformational insight moment where they believe that they're in their brain, they can see themselves with end result, okay? That is the first sale. And if you can get that first sale to be done, a lot of the other objections get washed aside because the identity has shifted. So we try and shift identity levels first before we shift belief on task levels second. Yeah, I'll give you an example, okay, so this is a good one, right? So I don't have a slide for this, but I can explain this, right? When I studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it's what foundation of Tony Robbins' change work. It was first invented by John Grinder, Richard Bandler. I did have the opportunity to train with Richard Bandler and a couple of his people. But what they talked a lot about is this thing called logical levels of hierarchy. That's way too complicated, so I'll keep it simple. If you want to change somebody, you can look at their behavior and then go to work at intervening at the behavior level. Could be as simple as biting your nails. It could be something as negative self-talk, okay? But those are things that are byproducts of identity, values, belief systems, emotional states, and now I have self-talk. That's at the bottom. It's like the last domino that's being affected. So that if I wanted to change somebody's self-talk of, oh my gosh, I always screw this thing up. Oh, we always get into the championship and lose. Or we just like, that's somebody who has made false agreements about their past experiences, and they've crafted an identity of somebody who gets to X place and then fails. I'll give you a quick story. So whenever I would coach volleyball, I still coach volleyball, and let's say we're ranked 22nd in the country, but we're playing top 8 teams that weekend, right? I can frame everything in all my communication to frame it in such a way that then structures the belief systems I want my kids to have. But I gotta know in the beginning, what belief systems do I want my athletes to have? Which is, we have zero pressure against these best teams. They have no idea that we're coming to get them. We might be ranked lower, but it's only because we just came together this year and we're only getting better week over week. They played before together, so they're actually plateauing. These are all belief systems we're installing in them. But I have to know, as the orchestrator of that, where I'm taking them. The same is true, here's the thing, the same is true when I'm getting ready to sell somebody. So when we create our videos today, like we created our videos on our like hallway about how we position, we're telling stories that frame their thinking so that they have belief systems that they're making the right choice of choosing you.
So do we generalize then, basically? Because to get to know somebody, you need more than that one visit.
Okay, so I'll get to the transformational shift moment, okay? But yes, humans generalize, they delete information, and there's one more, they distort information. The distortions and generalizations would be, we lost in a big match, we always lose in a big match. No, you don't. When specifically did you lose in a big match? Oh, it only happened one time. Okay, right. So it only happened one time. Yeah, so yeah, now it's a distortion and generalization, yeah. And so it's easy to work on that. But if I can get somebody to believe, look, we belong in this space, they just don't know it yet. That's where I want my teams to feel, like they just don't know it yet. And then let's say when we get in the top 4, I gotta reframe different things. We belong here, and we're mature and we know how to handle pressure. We thrive off pressure. Like, because the team that's not as good as the other team, I'm relieving pressure off them. So by telling these guys, we thrive off pressure, guess what I'm doing? I'm relieving pressure again. Like, high performance comes when you relieve pressure, because high performers put pressure on themselves. They don't need an external coach to be putting a lot of pressure on them. This is, you guys are getting my little bio. Yeah, it's just world-class thinking.
Like a dentistry, a dental patient?
I can apply it to almost anything. Yeah. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. Let me come back to this, but I just want to finish my analogy here. Oh, sure. So the thing is that if I want to make a shift in someone, we need to move their identity into the future. So that's why one of the questions that you can ask people before they attend your event, they attend a seminar, they come to your office, is one of the questions could be, okay, in 6 months, if we were sitting here and you were thrilled with what the outcomes were, can you tell me what those would be? And now they're jumping over all the objections they'd have. They're putting themselves in the future. They're turning around with this new experience, and they're crafting out what it would be like. And an old NLP phraseology we would say is, if they're stuck on it, you'd say, well, one of the reasons why you ask the question, like, in 6 months or a year from now, if we were talking and you were telling everybody about your experience with our business, our coaching club, our mastermind, or our dental practice, or whatever it might be, what would that, and you had a magic wand, like, you can layer this, you had a magic wand, and what would it look like? Now, if people get stuck, and you'll notice what I did just for people watching on video who end up running events. If people get stuck, I just jumped off the timeline of me telling that story. This is advanced stuff, I'm just sharing with you. But because some of this will go out to my clients that run events. I jumped out of my story because I don't want to contaminate the story. But if somebody gets stuck, so I just anchored this to being stuck, I would say to them, just make it up. Or I could say, why don't you just answer this question? Wouldn't it be great if? Wouldn't it be great if? It's a free, we call it the freedom question because it opens up, removes limitations and obstacles. So if I can get anybody to go in the future and tell me what it looks like, the end result, now you crafted a new identity. We don't worry about the how, we don't worry about the tactics. But if they buy into that, all the tactics will naturally start flowing because you'll have buy-in. The mistake is that most people start talking all about all the things we're going to do and what's going to happen, and you're going to be so busy doing all these things that this person is in the present moment. They're so stuck, their brain's tired, they can't even foresee or look out into the future at what that outcome would look like. You've just stalled them. And so when people get stalled, emotionally or logically or whatever, they don't make decisions. So what they'll do is say, let me go back, talk to my wife, we'll think about it. Let me just get back, I'll get a couple of these things done and I'll think about it. And so when I review a lot of times people's like case presentations or like my guys who I audit their PowerPoints before they speak, I'm like, dude, you're stuck, you're so trying to create value that all you're doing is being so logic-oriented and task-oriented that they're stuck and they can't see beyond that, and they're overwhelmed and they're frustrated. And those are all the exact opposite emotional states that we want to. If we're gonna bring up frustration, we gotta give them a window out of it. You gotta do that emotionally, okay? So I wanna go through a couple of this because this will be helpful, and hopefully remember your question because I'll come back to it, okay? So where we start at always is, who's our level dream patient, client, customer, that if I had 1,000 more of these or 100 more of these, I'd have my dream business. You could have 30 of these and it could be your dream business, right? And so what we do is we lay them out. You guys already talked a little bit about this. Here on the left-hand side, we said, here's the client, partner, patient name. Where did I get them from? Now, folks on the camera, the reason why we got to look at where did I get them from is because now you're going to quadruple down on where you got them from. Referral source, is it YouTube, is it Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, whatever it might be. And then what is their revenue level on the scale of 0 to 10? And for some people, it could be, I'm super thrilled with the $7,500 revenue level. Some people might want, I have a friend of mine who runs a coaching business and a mastermind, and he tells me, if it's not worth $65,000 each client to me, it's not worth my time at all. Like, we're not even having a discussion. So he set his bar. Now, what does he do with all the people that don't fit that? Elegantly, he sends them to his podcast. He's still creating value, but it's not there. And then we go really quickly as ease. Are they easy to work with? Are they energizing? Are they compounding? So are they referring to us? Are they adding? Are they givers? Are they people we want to be associated with? Is it a growth relationship? The worst experience, and you guys have experienced this, is that you have a client or patient come in, a customer come in, and they suck the life out of you. I don't want them. And I swear to God, if you guys look actually if we went to our top 20% that cause the most problems, there's going to be a criteria. Like, you'll see it. They're going to come from similar sources. They're going to spend similar amounts of money. They're going to check none of those other boxes except your practice or your business takes them, right? I told everybody the story of how I went and spoke at a seminar, and I had 8 people, and they had the same behavior, the same whininess, the same whatever, and I was like, oh, why did I even take you guys? Like, Years ago, I remember it was so interesting. We would run advertisements to one trade magazine, almost no refund rate, which refunds are normal when you sell products, by the way. There's always a percentage of people that refund. Is it 1% or is it 10%? 10% is pretty high. But there's always something. Like, there's always one person that's going to refund. It's never, especially when you're selling courses. But then you go one trade magazine, 1 to 2% refund rate. Next trade magazine, different. Like, usually trade magazines have personalities, like that started them, founded them, which means then they attract more of the same people, more of the same people, more of the same people. And it's very easy to look at it like, oh wow, this guy is this behavioral and personality type. This guy's a different personality type. It makes sense why this one over here has a higher refund rate. And then the next one would be like through the roof. The ad was the same, the direct mail was the same, the pitch was the same. higher refund rate. So the source matters dramatically, okay? So anyhow, we do this first. Now, this is why I had you guys do that exercise first, because when I figure out who my best ideal level 10 client is, I then get to build out a transformational insight map, okay? This is probably like a 3-hour workshop on its own. So I'll give you guys the 3-minute version. Number one is really simple. What are their 3 biggest fears? What are they most embarrassed about that they're not telling anybody? Okay? And like, for example, if I'm running a workshop, an event, or whatever, or somebody comes sit nose to nose, toes with me, I want to know what is he or she secretly not telling anybody, that if I'm able to tell a story, a metaphor, or point out an example that disassociates that person, but I hit it, they're going to go, oh my gosh, this person is the first person that's ever understood me. That's what I mean by elegant. I'm still there. I'm still moving people emotionally through stuff, but we really gotta, the reason why we build from our level 10 client, patient, or customer into our level 10 transformational insight map is because now I know specifically who I'm talking to and calling out. Okay? And this side of the puzzle, what are they running from? What is making them feeling, what is it that keeps them feel completely inadequate? That will move somebody faster than only talking about the desires and what are you going to get with your new XYZ. This goes to the next part, because this is part of the transformation. I'm going to show you how we do this right now. How are they currently trying to solve the problem? For you guys, they're using partial dentures. For a lot of seminar attendees, they're trying to do it themselves. That doesn't work, right? Because you're going to go out and what's going to happen is you're going to get a result, but you're not going to have a tribe, a mentor, a mastermind, a model that's going to be there to pick you up when things don't work. And what we know about success is not a straight line. It's a zigzag. There's always going to be times when things aren't working. But just like we talked about this morning, if there's a gym and I need to get back in shape, having my tribe to go keep showing up into it is what's going to keep me going. And we don't guilt you. We don't, like, all those things are really positive. We don't guilt you. There's no judgment here. We're here to help you win. And a lot of times, most medical practices, they screw up because they guilt people. Oh, you haven't been here in 3 years. Okay, screw you. I'm gonna go. The one thing I hate more than anything is being guilted when I'm a grown man or grown woman. So this is their current plan, and it's not working. And then we're gonna go into what I call the transformational insight moment, where we're gonna take the misconceptions and myths that keep them stuck. And if we can identify, hey, this is why your current plan's not working, and they're like, yes, oh yes, okay, yeah, then we don't have to sell hard. What did we do on our interviews today? We talked about what people normally do. What's keeping them away from getting the better solution? What's the misconception around that? Oh, they think it's going to be more painful. They think it's going to be more expensive. They think it's going to be more scary. And that's why, like, even when on my interview, guys, I said to you, like, people say, oh, it's just not as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's embedding a command into the viewer to say, okay, cool. That's the end result for them, okay?
Did you mention that on that upper left box there, what are the top 3 fears, or what are they embarrassed about? That motivates and moves a person faster than looking at themselves in the future? Did you say something?
Yeah, so you have to, okay, yeah, so the question was, just for the recording, so was my comment that the top 3 fears and what they feel inadequate about and what they're embarrassed about will move them faster to the future? 100%.
Inadequate about, I don't feel like it can go out.
Yeah, I'm aging. Look at me. My sisters look great, but I'm the one who's aging quicker. I'm going to go back to my reunion, but I'm the one who's 50 pounds overweight and looking older and more tired than I've ever been. And I'm going to go see these people. I'm not verbalizing that out loud,
Right.
but now my embarrassment is, oh, well, what if I show up jacked up and I'm the one that's got ripped? You just don't want to embarrass yourself. Where do we get that from? Childhood. You don't want to be the kid on like getting made fun of. Or I still vividly remember going to a birthday party, and I grew up in a blue collar family, 12, 13th kids. Everything we had in our closet were hand-me-downs, right? My dad, like my whole story was my dad worked on the weekends. Like a good work week was when he was working on the weekends. He got time and a half, right? And so I vividly remember going to a birthday party, 5th grade, 6th grade, and I wore like these like khaki pants that were a little short, and I think they had a little color to it. And I remember everybody had the jeans, perfect sneakers, and they were making fun of me. I still remember crying on the front porch, and then the mom had to come out. One of the older brothers came out, was like, come on, get back in the party. I vividly remember that. I vividly remember going to Payless shoe stores and spending $18 on a pair of basketball shoes when basketball season came, and my friend had $75 ones, and they'd make fun of mine. And I'd be like, I could buy 3 pairs of yours for the price. And that's how I saw it, but I remember that. And those are like the types of memories that really like will still, my wife tells a great story of when she was in, I think 6th or 7th grade on the school playground. She was the last girl picked for splitting up the teams, I think for like kickball. My wife has gone on to be an All-American, Hall of Famer for her college, one of the best volleyball players in the state at the time. But she was like, from that day forward, she would go and run every day. Like she was like, and she would just go practice, train. But I don't like putting on film like her business, but she has feelings about some of those girls still to this day. And she's, yeah, and none of you fucking people played anywhere past this thing, and you sat your ass on the bench while I went and did things. She might not say it the way I just did it, but that's what I said. So what motivated her? Was it a desire to be, I want to be the top 3 pick? Or no, I'm never going to be the bottom 3 ever again. Screw you people. And I'm not in the cool crowd. So like, that is true at every single level. You'll see it in every single level of business. You see it at the country club. Why is the guy working so hard on his golf game when he's 56 years old? He's not good at anything else, but he's good at that. Doesn't want to look bad, right? I'm just giving examples, fellas. Don't take this personal if you're somebody who's golfing. But there's other people who it's really interesting. My college coach, actually another one, he's won 12 national titles, Division III level for men's volleyball. I heard him on an interview, and I would have never, ever suspected this in a million years. And the head coach at Louisville now for women's volleyball asked him a question like, what motivates you so much? Because he'll stay up till 4 a.m. doing film. And I think it's inadequacy. He goes, I just don't want to lose. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. I just don't want, but worse than that is, what if I'm unprepared and we lose?
Gotcha.
Now I failed, it's not me. Yeah, so that will always move people faster than trying to give them a bigger future vision. The problem is that a lot of sales get stuck on trying to big up the pain rather than moving people into, okay, so what would be the ideal solution? What would it look like over here? Now, elegant influence is when they don't really know that's what we're doing. And if we can get the person to say, oh my gosh, I never thought about this, or say, wow, he or she is speaking directly to me through their talk, through their words, now they're the instant authority. So I've had 3 people that have come to me as potential clients talk to me lately about their credibility. I'll be able to launch my event once I do this and that. And I'm like, dude, you did 2 million last year using your YouTube. Remember I was telling you about Jeff? You don't need any more credibility to teach lawyers how to grow their law practice with YouTube. You just added $2 million to your practice last year using YouTube. There's nobody more credible, bro. What are you gonna do? Like, how many more like that? So that is but see, here's the thing. That's an internal inadequacy thing that he's battling. That's a belief in himself. It has nothing to do with whether he's an authority or credible or not. It has to do with how he's seen himself. So if I said to him, like, Jeff, all right, let's put all that to the side, which by the way is a language pattern. Put that to the side for a second. If we were sitting here 4 months from now, 2 months from now, 1 month from now, and all you did was say, screw it, I'm gonna do a workshop for lawyers and high paid professionals in my area or in Tampa and 2 people show up and you get a camera crew and you teach for 2 days and you impact 2 people's lives, that's the worst thing that can happen. Or actually the worst thing you have is nobody signs up, which then guess what? If nobody signs up, nobody knows nobody signs up, so nobody cares. So here's the reality. What's the worst thing that can happen? You get to positively impact 2 people and learn something, right? And maybe get paid doing it. And then you're like, oh man, I'm actually good at this. I should be telling everybody I'm good at this. And now guess what's gonna happen, bro? In 4 months, you're gonna be doing it. Now there's gonna be 12 people there. And then you're gonna be like, I'm getting really good. Okay, now we're gonna get 30 in the room. Now we're gonna get 100 in the room. And your credibility didn't change. Your self-belief changed. And what did I just do? I just did a reframe on identity, didn't I? It's not your credibility. That's you worried about something that you can't control. But your self-belief just changed. So, well, the way we do some of this stuff is that we have to have a phrase of, most of ideal client is trying to get the dream result by doing the typical path. But we're able to get them the result without all the hassles. And we do it differently. And by doing that, we get them to say, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Now, I'm gonna skip past this for now, and I'm gonna skip past this. Okay, so I wanna teach a framework. Here's a framework number 1, and I'm gonna teach you my story framework. I don't want this to be too brain heavy, so I'm not gonna go too in depth on. Patrick Bet-David wrote a book called something about attacking the enemy. So on our interview today, what is one enemy that I attacked strategically before I asked you guys a question? And so everybody who's watching, let me explain what an enemy is. An enemy is the thing that is holding the man. You remember, like, they're holding the man down, the person down, right? So what is the thing? There's an old copywriting frame that's, it's not your fault. But in really sophisticated rooms, people understand that. But it's still powerful as ever. Hey, look, the reason why you've gotten this result is because of this, and that's usually a path others have prescribed, which makes others either the enemy or the other's ignorance the enemy. And what I mean by that is this. Listen, the reason why most people fail with, I'm trying to think of an enemy. Facebook ads is too easy. But the reason why most people fail, Tony Robbins uses this, a lot of guys use it with investing, most basically. The reason people fail with most investing is because everybody says, put your money in these safe, secure bonds and all these things, and you're gonna make 8% over the next 50 years, but it never happens because this is the enemy, boom, boom. And once you take out the fees, now this is the real enemy. Now you take out the fees, and you weren't making 10% on your money, you were making 7% on your money, but then when you go try to get access to it, they take more fees. So really, you're making 5% on your money. You might as well stick it in a savings account. So that old proposed path and those people are the enemy. And the guy says to himself this phrase, oh my God, I've never thought of that. Boom. Your credibility and authority just shot through the roof, even though you haven't proposed a plan yet, right? It's, hey, the reason why the implant centers, guys, I just gave you who the enemy was. Remember that? I asked both of you about the implant centers, that they do a thing where they just give one fee to the proposed patient, and it's a take it or leave it thing, but then they're stuck, so they leave, and it's given the whole industry a bad rap. That's the enemy. So what I've done there is by exposing the enemy, I immediately separate you from the enemy. Does that make sense? So now they quickly start assuming you're not me because you expose the enemy. It's a very powerful frame, and it's something anyone can do. Attack the trap, who's the real enemy? So we're not going to do this now, but this is the framework, right? You say, hey, what is their current plan and past plans that never worked for them? Okay? And you guys already know, you can go through all the different things. Hey, why did they not, what was the method and why does it not work? Lay that out. And we've already gone through it, but if I'm sitting, if like for people watching and you're looking at, hey, you're gonna do a 3-hour webinar, or you're gonna do an event, or you're gonna do a lunch and learn, You need to lay it out, like, because you want to attack the enemy early on. Guys, look, we're in this time and age, 2025. Everybody's talking about AI. The problem that none of them see is this. Lay it out, boom. You got all these newbies spending thousands and thousands of dollars trying to learn AI, build their own AI agents, and then this, and then this. But what they haven't told you yet is that OpenAI or X or whatever is going to obliterate all of these paths and plans in one fell swoop, because they're spending billions of dollars on the technology and you're trying to put your own savings into it. So what's the solution here? Instead of doing this, we figured out a way for you to leverage the power of that. You see what I just did? I haven't even shared anything yet, but you're bought into that. Wow, there's a different path and plan. And by me exposing all these different bad paths that are enemies, and people might be in them right now, they're like, gosh, he's right. He's right. Holy crap, he's talking about me right now. And yeah, I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed. And he hasn't verbalized that at all yet. But we just said, this is what everyone's doing wrong. Okay? They're hoping for this better future. But here's the counterintuitive thought process. Don't do any of that crap. Just know where everybody's going and put yourself in between that. So that's what we're talking about. It's like when we were talking about today, why go spend a ton of money on billboards and all these old things when you could just go to Facebook groups where the moms in your area are and offer the person who's in the, is it Port Charlotte, where are you at again?
Port Charlotte.
Yeah, Port Charlotte. Hey, we offer $500 credits to dental implants for anyone in this, like any owners of any of these groups. If they want to share it with discount, go where your people are. Like TikTok and Amazon and all these places, they already have the people. YouTube has the people. X has the people. So how do we create content that moves them? Like those are counterintuitive plans right now, right? Now this is belief framing. So the question I ask myself when I'm looking at what are the beliefs? Why have they gotten stuck in this trap and why it's not their fault? Now this, we're not gonna go totally into this like to them overtly, but I wanna ask people like, why have they gotten stuck? And then the other question is that if I'm trying to sell something to them, whether it's my mastermind, my licensing, my coaching club, my dental implants, whatever it might be, I want to know what are all their beliefs and self-agreements that has prevented them from, would prevent them from moving forward. Then the other thing that I got to ask myself is, what is the empowering belief system I want them to believe in? And that would be, for my purposes, a model, a mentor, and a tribe you need if you want to be successful in life. A model, I need to know who to follow. I need to have a mentor. I need a coach, and then you could do the whole Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, Phil Jackson wasn't the model for the dream team of the Bulls. This is overused, so I don't love using this one, but so you had the model, which is the basketball player, but the coach was Phil Jackson, the ultimate coach. He didn't play point guard. He didn't play off guard. He didn't do anything, but he was the guy who knew how to draw and bring them all together. That's why, even though you're here to learn about maybe Perry, who's our mentor, isn't doing exactly what you do, but he's the ringleader of all the resources that you're going to need to get you where you need to be. But what we got to have, so that's your mentor, you got to have the model. Do we follow? And so if I can get those belief systems built into an audience, that's when you're going to start seeing people adopt the belief systems, okay? Is this making sense?
Yeah.
You're going to need to go watch this again, but it's like, this is elegant influence, because I'm going to show you one thing here in a second that ties it all together. But the other thing was the money thing, right? What's the cost of the mastermind? A lot of people ask me about the cost of the mastermind, but you didn't ask me about the cost of the 5 years I wasn't in it, because he's allowing me, I have the opportunity to be in his $30,000 a year invite mastermind that's going to allow me to be in the group with all the winners that are already ahead of me for just $30,000. That's less than $2,800 a month, which if I can't make an extra $75 a day with the insight that I'm learning here, that's on me, soldier. So my real question isn't what the cost of the mastermind was. It's, okay, what do I need to do to just can I make an extra $75 a day by being a part of it? And the answer is, yeah, you'd have to be a complete fool not to. But then if I say to you, like, let me ask a question, what was the cost of the last 5 years of me not being it? And you're like, well, I don't know. Okay, what did you want to make last year? I wanted to make $1 million. What'd you make? $500,000. What about the year before that? I wanted to make $1 million. What'd you make? $350,000. Okay, so far, 2 years of you not being the mastermind, you're telling me that it costs you $500,000 year one, and it costs you $650,000 year two. I never thought of it that way. I know, because you're asking the wrong questions. When you upgrade your life by being a part of Perry's group, you're now asking different questions, right? What great things are going to come out of this are going to have a transformational experience so that my next future goal is not 1 million, but it's 2 million or 3 million. And so we install those empowering belief systems. Now, how do we do that? We create 3 stories that point at the belief system, and then we share how the reframe happened. So, in our interviews, when you do an offer a wingman interview, as you guys have experienced today, I pull out of you some of the reframes in the story, and I interject my own reframes to help it. Like money, remember I did the car thing, like your thing, expensive. People are happy to spend $65,000 on a car that drops in value by 40% right when you get off and only decreases in value over time. But when you buy our X, you pay the same installments, but our X increases over time. Yet people never look at it that way. And so you have people that live longer, feel better, smile, are more confident, and you have people that are driving nicer cars that don't feel less confident, and their money's going in the wrong direction. So that's just a simple, what was the limiting belief? Okay, dental implants are expensive. Mastermind Coaching Club expensive. What else? Buying the franchise is expensive. Being a part of this group is going to be expensive because it's going to take time, effort, and energy. Let me ask a question. So now, like all those things, you lay that stuff out, what we did in the beginning about obliterating objections, and we seed it, because the time thing is another one. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you guys are worried about time? Okay, you're worried about time. Okay, cool. I'm going to give you your whole life back. So let me just share this. This is the framework right here. Let me tell you about Bob. So when Bob came to us last year, he was working 7 days a week, 12-hour days. His 3 kids at home didn't know who he was, right? Didn't know who he was. His wife was, actually his second wife was getting ready to divorce him, but he was already paying alimony to his first wife, right? And so pretend I'm speaking to a bunch of lawyers, right? And so Bob, though, felt good about this because Bob was super excited that he can go get his cognac with the guys in the basement at the country club, until one day Bob woke up and he realized, guess what? I'm the old guy here. The young guys now are 32 years old, but I'm the only one who's 52 years old. I'm on my second wife. My 3 kids don't know me. I'm still working 7 days a week. And so when you talk to me about time and that you can't invest 6 days a year and 1 hour a week to be a part of something that's going to like radically transform your life forever. Do you guys notice I stand on this side of here when I talk about the future? Have you guys noticed that yet? Yeah, I always come back here when I talk about the good stuff. Because you remember, watch this, this is going to remember. You remember 6 months? 6 months from now, I'm looking back. Remember I stood right here? So this side's anchored as your brighter future. Why? Because if you guys point, if I asked you, where's your past? Oh, your eyes just went over there. Where's your past? Your thumb's going there. Because guess what? Most people orientate left side of their bodies where their past is. So you put all the bad stuff in their past. So when we talk about being stuck, being whatever, I get off the future timeline, we bring it back here. That's why I started moving over here the moment I realized I was going to talk about how bad Bob's life is. See how elegant that was? Okay, so Bob's over here, and I'm anchoring this side. His wife doesn't know him, blah, blah, and I just go through all the crappy things. Guess what? If I'm talking to a group of dentists or lawyers who've always prided themselves, Bob always prided himself in working hard. He prided himself on being the first one to get there, last one to leave. Yet the fact of the matter is Bob's life's a wreck. So he's here today telling, or he was in this room that you guys sat in 3 years ago telling all of us about the dream he wanted to have, right? I want to work 4 days a week. I want my kids to love me. I don't want to miss a game, blah, blah, blah. But he kept doing why with his first wife. That's why he's not there. He believed that it would change on its own. Nothing changes on its own. So we're layering that seed and that belief system in, right? Then one day, While Bob was sitting in the same chair as you are, he came up, asked me one question, and I gave him an answer that he had never heard before. And we don't have time for me to tell you the answer. It's an open loop. I'll get into that later. I just create an open loop. But here's what I want to show you today, is that Bob cut his work hours 3.5 days a week. His business tripled. Last year, he was bought out. His associates bought him out. He now doesn't have to work a day the rest of his life. Only took him 3 years. But let me ask you a question. If Bob stayed doing what he did before, the way he always did it for 32 years, would he have gotten that? Yes or no? Just, I need hands.
No.
No way, you guys are with me, right? Yeah, no, he wouldn't, right? So this was the solution. So when some people say to me they don't have time for mentoring, or they don't have time for personal development, or they don't have time for improvement, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, man, I've heard this before. Look at, we'll go, let me just tell you about my guy, Bob. But still, you wanna say, okay, Bob is dysfunctional because Bob was that guy. He's not you, but let me tell you about me. Because before I figured out how to do all this, and then I can go in my own personal transformational story. Or let me tell you about, and then I pick another person that has a different characteristic, different demographic, different type of origin story, but it always comes back through. There was a moment that things changed. And this is why I always say, if I would have sat here and said, let me tell you the 33 things that Bob did, that person is going to be stuck on the timeline. But what I'm helping that person out there do is, what was one of the objections? Internal self-belief that they could do it is what we're working on there. I think I have the objections come here, yeah. Is like their ability in self. All I'm doing right now is helping them transform their identity, which is a much bigger sale than, okay, first thing Bob did was walk into his office and he said, listen, I'm going to make a list. Here's everybody toxic. Here's everybody nurturing. And I immediately fire everybody toxic. That's my first thing I'm going to do. And Bob went in it. Cut his business by 1/3. Because some of those clients left. But when he realized was that those toxic clients he didn't want anyway. Now he had this whole new thing. So instead of spending 2 days a week dealing with toxic people, he would spend 2 days a week. One, he decided, every Sunday, I'm going with my family, no matter what. And so he blocked it off. And then on the other day, he just worked on his Dream 100 of the best clients. And then what he realized was he had another 20% of his clients he wanted to fire. So he fired them too. So I'm pushing them in the past, aren't I? See that? And then we go over here, right? And, okay, cool. Now, oh my God, I don't have to work on Saturdays anymore. Because I have better clients. They're paying me more. We're charging more. We doubled his price. Instead of getting, since we're talking about lawyers, instead of getting 30% percentage on things, he's now getting 36%. Why? Because better buyers don't like their problems much worse than cheap buyers. So guess what? The better buyers aren't even questioning his percentage because he's dealing with wealthier people that want a problem to go away. So we top graded his clients, right? See how we did that? Who in here thinks they could do that? So write this down. Number one, you're going to go fire all your toxic people. And when I say toxic people, it might be your friends, your core 5, your employees, your whatever. Now, if you're running this is a good exercise to do once in a while anyway, right? Just get rid of toxic people. I know Dr. Bill Blatchford used to tell people, rate your entire team on a scale of 0 to 10. Anything that's below 7, fire them tomorrow. He just said, you got to go fire them. And he's like, if you can't do it, I'll do it for you. And you always say, man, what will happen after you do it? Well, guess what? You're going to figure it out. And guess what? You're probably going to realize they weren't doing it, they were causing you more problems anyway, right? But now Bob has everything you dream of. Now, these are really good. So just so you know, and I just want to go back to the camera for 1 second. If I take this framework and I lay out, I'm going up to this one. If I lay out what are all the false belief systems and the agreements that they have, and then I create the new ones like this. I have that on one piece of paper on my left-hand side. And then I just have my story framework. Let me tell you about Bob. Bob wanted this, but he kept doing this. This was his path. This is what he wanted. Bob kept doing it because he believed all the wrong belief systems until one day he discovered this, and then he had a moment where everything changed. And now Bob has all these belief systems. And you got to tell it through stories, because if you don't tell it through stories, people associate it that you're talking to them and their existing problem. Now, what does everybody do when you start talking to them about, Mrs. Jones, you're here today because you're missing a tooth. Okay, I'm worried about pain. You know what? I'll tell you this. We've had hundreds of patients in the last year that come in that are similar but different. Do you mind if I share an experience? Okay, this lady, Mrs. X, right? 62 years old, 5 grandkids. All she wanted to be able to do is go out to dinner with her kids and have steak again. Okay, when she came to me, she said, the only thing I have the money. My kids are encouraging me because they said, Mom, it's time for you to take care of yourself. It's time for you to invest in yourself, Mom. But I'm just scared because this might be painful. And I'll tell you, can I show you a testimonial? This is Mrs. Jones. She came in here and this is exactly what she said. At XYZ office, I chose nitrous oxide, or I was afraid of that, so I didn't even do that. And the craziest thing happened. The implant was in my mouth. I was out the door within 15 minutes, it felt like, and I only used Tylenol for 1 day and it was gone. It was blah, 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 blah. Oh, really? Is that really it? Yeah. Have you ever had an extraction before? Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, Mrs. Jones said she had 3 extractions that were 20 times worse than. You're using a story, you're embedding it, right? And so, again, Operation Obliterate Objections. We go on this first. We do not go on content first. If you want to start, okay, here's my entire, I was thinking about this morning. If I'm doing a 1-hour presentation, 3-hour presentation, 3-day presentation, or 3-day event, it's always the same structure. Where am I trying to take my best buyer who's sitting in the audience? And then how do we help move them from there to where they're stuck? They're here for a reason, they got problems, and move them all the way over there elegantly. And then we showed you one framework, which was, even though I think in this video we showed a lot of frameworks that allow you to obliterate money, time, belief, and doing that. So let me go through a couple money languaging that works, okay? It's expensive, of course. This requires a serious investment. It's a serious solution. We didn't ask how cheap we could make it. We figured out how to give you the best solution for the greatest deal. If it was easy to get, it wouldn't be worth much. The investment is the best part. We invested in you first before you even walked in because we're bringing you the best. I know it's an investment, but that's also why we make it easier because we use financing. And there's a lot of other things. There's a great thing on money. The one thing that we know is that if you don't move forward, nothing will change. So that's for certain. What you don't know is that after you go through this, how great life's going to be. We can only encourage you, we can do this, and so, and that's where we use the stories and framework. So, is there any questions on any of the obliterate objections and elegance influences? So your homework would be to look at your dream clients and ask yourself, what were their belief systems before they came in? What were their fears? What were their things that blocked them from taking the next step? What was their experience like? And then what would they say now? Because those are going to become the stories that allow your better prospects to become your best buyers. And so that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Elegant Influence, Obliterating Objections, and turning your best prospects into your best buyers. Thanks, everyone. Hey, it's Ed O'Keefe. If you run events, masterminds, coaching clubs, and you'd like to sell more of your high-ticket offer elegantly from stage or virtually, whether it's webinars, whether it's challenges or power days, I'd love to send you a free training where I walk through the whole process of outlining your full agenda and then exactly what actual stories need to be told when, so that you properly seed the audience so they're begging to be in your coaching club or your mastermind, so you sell it out without ever having to come across like you're hard selling the audience or you're pitching too much. I guarantee that if you're out there right now and you're wondering why sales aren't as good as you like, it's probably one of 3 things. Number 1, you're probably teaching too much and your clients are getting stuck with not knowing where to even start things. And so they get into implementation mode. They don't look for the mentor. Their brain's tired. Number 2 is you might be so afraid of selling and how you come across that you fail to actually lay out the opportunity of how your best prospects can become your best buyers. You're not doing anything but a disservice to your potential best buyers, and you're actually not helping people at all with that model. Or number 3 is you don't talk at all about your stuff until the last second, and you're like, if you want to join it, here's the sheets or forms, or go back there. So you don't even give people the opportunity in the right way. So if you need help, if you can relate to any of these things, I'd love to send you a free training. You can check it out, implement what's on the video, or if you want me to help you with it, you can reach out and I'll tell you exactly how we can work together. That's it. I'm Ed O'Keefe. Click on the link below and we'll see you on the other side. Hey guys, if you like this video, I just added the part 2 of the seminar. People paid $5,000 to be at this event. We're posting it absolutely free. If you love it, look inside the comments. You'll see the next trainings we recommend, along with, if you ever wanted to come and attend one of our events, how you could do that. So that's it. I'm Ed O'Keefe. Thanks so much for watching these videos. Click on the next video above. All right, see ya.